Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Andrea, with another episode of the Cosplay Cafe. We are going to be serving up, as Kelly likes to say, a steaming hot cup of cosplay. Tonight, you're stuck with just me and my guest, but I'll fill in as much as I can for Kelly and Crayley. And we're going to be discussing plus size cosplay. It's a topic that kind of gets glossed over. So I'm glad that our guest has suggested this topic. So first, let me roll our credits and a couple of little ads for Kelly and Crayley while they're gone, and then we'll bring in our guest.
Pokeballs by Crayley is your one-stop shop for handmade magical creations that celebrate all the Pokemon universe has to offer. Available on CrayleyVanest.com, that's CRAYLEVANEST.com, and possibly coming to a con near you. One nightmare destroyed Aidan O'Donnell. Aidan Gray, aka Scorcher, was born out of those ashes. The Forces of Nature trilogy is about the destructive powers of having superpowers that you don't understand and can't control. It's about redemption, about finding love and finding yourself. You can find the first two books, Scorcher and Thin Ice, online wherever books are sold. You can also pre-order the upcoming audiobook for Scorcher at www.kellygetner.com. That's www.KELLYGUENTNER.
All right. So now that you've gotten to see the ads for my two lovely co-hosts, Kelly is taking a little break. Crayley, as her Pokeball ad said, can be found at a con near you. She is at Indie Comic Con this weekend. So slide by there, maybe give her a little bit of your money, a little business. But now I'm going to welcome our guest. This is actually a guest that reached out to us. Normally, we have a lot of people that are friends. He reached out to us, which we are very thankful for. And he wanted to discuss plus size cosplay. So I'm going to welcome Mark Dejarnett. We're going to go with the French here to the stream.
Bonjour.
I love it. We're going to get a little fancy here tonight on Revenge of the 5th.
No, it's no longer contained to just one day. This is the May.
This is the May. As a Star Wars fan, I am 100% with it. Today was the first time I ever cosplayed at a con, and it was a Star Wars celebration 21 years ago. So Revenge of the 5th is a special day for me.
Oh, nice.
So we got a couple of comments real quick. I'm going to put them up. Cool Gamer said, hello, everybody. Said hello to us a couple of different places. But hello, Cool Gamer. Thank you for tuning in. So let's just dive right on in. Mark, tell us how you got into cosplay.
So, this was roughly around 2005-ish, 2006-ish. My first job, I got free tickets to go to Gen Con in Indianapolis, just for one day, and I didn't know what to expect, and little did I know how big Gen Con of all conventions was going to be. And I go there, and I'm I'm overwhelmed with just all the stuff I'm seeing. And I see all these people in costumes. And at the time I didn't know it was cosplay. I was a recluse still
It's
back
definitely
then.
wasn't a well-known word back then.
Right? I was like, man, these people have no problems dressing up. And I remember going up to this Viking. Now, bear in mind, I'm like 6'3". Last time I checked, I'm right about 330 pounds. And I go up to this Viking who's at least a foot taller than me.
Oh, goodness.
And I'm like, I'm so nervous because I'm like, this guy could, I'm a big dude and he could drop me like that. But I'm like, sir, is it all right if I could get your pictures? Like, yeah, come on up. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess it would help because, I'm a big guy and it'd be for scale. And he's like, yeah, no problems, man. And he just did one of these numbers. And I'm like, he could drop me in a heartbeat. And he was such a good guy and so nice. And I'll never forget, it's probably my first real experience with anybody dressing up doing cosplay. And I was like, I want to do that, Not necessarily the Viking, but I was like, if it's as it became more accepted, I was like, I can probably do stuff like this. And it didn't really start to happen until I met my at time girlfriend, who's now my wife. I took her to Gen Con and she like literally got so overwhelmed we had to take her out of it. I'm like, okay, you need to relax.
It can
But
be a
after it was
lot.
over, what's that?
It can be a lot.
It can. Especially for Gen Con. But I after it was all over, she's like, oh, I'm loving it. We need to do the dress up next. That dress up stuff. I'm like, no, it's called cosplay. It's like, well, we need to do the cosplay stuff. And whether she realizes it or not, she kind of inadvertently gave me the push to really start dressing up. And
We all
I'll
need that
never,
cosplay enabler.
right? And she's probably in the other room shaking her head because I know she's watching this right now. Hi, Ashley.
We're glad you could join us in some way, even if you didn't want to be on camera.
For those who know the show My Little Pony, which I'm going to get to here in a minute.
I grew up on the original.
Yep. She is very much like the character Fluttershy. She loves animals. She's afraid to get in front of the camera. And I'm not going to force her, but
no, we would never want to make somebody uncomfortable. Weirdly enough, I'm the hugest introvert, but I'm like, let's do a podcast with my friends.
Wait a minute. No.
Here we are, watching me ramble like a psycho.
Psychotic is just a level of intelligence people cannot understand yet.
I'm going to quote you on that.
So, I'll never forget this story because she wanted to dress up and she's like, well, we got to do a couples cosplay. And she's sitting there and she had just gotten me into watching My Little Pony. And as she's just kind of binge watching it, I'm starting to shoot off ideas for couples cosplays. I'm like, oh, what about Fry and Lula from Futurama? No. And I can't remember all the ones I named, but I kind of looked up at the TV, saw she was watching it, and in my brain I'm like, well, she said no to everything else. I might as well just go. And I'm like, well, what about Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy from My Little Pony? And she just kind of goes, I could see us doing this. And in my head, spare the four-letter words, I'm like, well, I just dug myself into a hole.
It's go big or go home.
Right. And we ended up doing, she was Fluttershy. I don't know if I sent you the pictures of us dressed as that.
They're in there.
They are? Yeah.
Yes.
So here I am, this 6'3", 300+ pound guy wearing all pink and a pink wig. And I'm just like, Oh my word. People are going to be laughing at me. I was like, this is not good for my ego. And I walked in there and people were just like, dude, can we get your picture? Dude, we love
Yeah.
Pinkie Pie. We love My Little Pony. And, kids, adults, men, women. And I was just like, okay, now we got something here. And it really took off after that.
I honestly think that kid reaction, as much as the adults that are into the fandoms you are those kids reacting is it's so cheesy and cliche, but it's one of those things that kind of keeps you going.
Oh, apps 100%. Just seeing when you dress up as their favorite characters, they don't see Mark in a costume. They see Pinkie Pie, or they see the Beast, or they see Kingpin.
Yes.
Which
and the great thing is us discussing plus size cosplay, they don't see somebody that's body type doesn't look exactly like the artwork that it's referencing or something. They just see the character. They don't care your size, your color, your gender. They just see the character.
Mm-hmm.
And they love it. And I think it's that innocence that makes it more, it makes you appreciate that they're liking it more than the adult going, well, you didn't have that detail on your costume. The elitist that we try so hard to not be those. Like, our whole goal is everybody can cosplay no matter what.
When it comes to critiquing, I only have two basic rules. Unless you ask or you're in a competition, who cares?
Yes, exactly. And I do a lot of competitions on both sides of the table. I compete, I judge, and I still never even critique someone's costume to their face unless they say, well, if I didn't place, what can I do better next time?
Exactly.
Because you never know somebody's circumstance, their skill level, their like financial situation to pay for what they're doing. Not everybody has an unlimited cosplay budget. I know I don't.
Yeah, like I had to, like my Star Lord from start to finish roughly took about 6 to 9 months, and it was just because, okay, saving up. Okay, I got like $25. I'll buy the T-shirt.
Right.
Okay, I got that. It's on the way. Now I need to save up, another 40 for the mask, and so on and so forth.
And one of the girls we're gonna show pictures of later in our submissions, she said being a plus size cosplayer especially makes it harder if you don't sew to source your costumes and to find the right stuff that sells in your size.
Right.
and it's a very untapped market, because I have idolized even myself some plus size cosplayers since I was a baby cosplayer. And they had to make all their own stuff because there was no seller that made things pre-made for them. And so, I'm glad that people are putting it more in the forefront now, because it doesn't matter what size you are. If you want to wear that costume, you should have that right to wear that costume.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, it's like, if I only cosplayed based on my body type, I'd be Silent Bob from Jay and Silent Bob every time. And it's like, I like the movies, but I don't like them to that level.
You cosplay what you love.
Exactly. Rule number one: only cosplay what you enjoy.
I've done a few that I'm like, well, I don't know a lot about it, but we're gonna do some fun stuff with friends, and I love that. But at the same time, when people want to like engage you about it, you're like, I don't know. But I get the body dysmorphia that a lot of people go through as a cosplayer, because, as I said, today I've been cosplaying for 21 years.
Oh wow!
And I was 19 years old when I started, and I was a size 2. I am no longer that skinny little rail. I am sitting at the borderline of plus size, and I had to remind myself that, you get older, your body changes, and just because I put on weight doesn't mean I'm not as valued as a cosplayer as I was when I was 10. because to the outside world that's not in the community, they see the cosplay girl, and it's a very narrow view.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I'm actually really glad like that you as a male cosplayer approached us about plus size cosplay, because a lot of people forget that men fall into that category as well. They always they come after the female cosplayers so bad for being plus sized.
Oh, I get it all. I mean, I should say I get it all the time, because I think people are a little intimidated to come up to me, even though
Like,
anybody who knows me, it's like I'm the nicest guy in the world. But I know there are people that'll look at me and judge me, and
yeah,
like
they're not
even
worth your
Star-Lord
time.
right now, it's like I'm not built like Chris Pratt, but I can enjoy this guy. I can enjoy being Star-Lord as much as anybody else.
If you think about it, until he played Star-Lord, Chris Pratt wasn't built like Chris Pratt.
Oh, that's right.
You know?
Because before he got I think it was Parks and Recreation.
Parks and Rec, he was the chubby guy, and
yeah.
you know, he wasn't. He went on a very harsh, strict workout regime and diet to get to that shape, and that's just as unhealthy though, because the amount of work that those guys go through to have that superhero body is,
and they have to maintain it throughout all that, and
there's a lot of dehydration during the filming because they want as little water weight on them as possible. So, you know, once again, guys, Chris Pratt didn't always look like Chris Pratt. So. But yeah, it's wild how, especially behind a keyboard, people can be so cruel to other people.
I get to use my big word here. They feel that they have a certain level of anonymity.
Yes.
And it's like, you guys realize what do you achieve? I don't understand. I personally never understood the logic of somebody being like, oh, you're too fat to play Star-Lord. You know, oh, what do you think you're doing? You're wearing a 3X. And I'm like, why would you? How horrible is your life to where you need to insult people or only trying to put smiles on people's faces?
Yeah, you know, I remember, you know, when I was kind of slowly inching into my gaining weight, my friends and I did From the Anime Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt. And yeah.
I've full disclosure, I have not seen it, but I've heard
a lot of people know what they look like.
Yeah.
So we were the Angels, and then we had our friend Dwayne with us as Garter Belt. And we actually had pictures posted on the actual Funimation Facebook page. And, you know, my friend's this little tiny, petite, itty bitty thing, you know, with the little midriff top and the little short skirt. You know, I had on the skirt with the thigh highs and everything. And everybody was complimenting her, complimenting our friend. And then it would just be, I don't know about that stocking. You know, maybe she should have worn something different. And I'm like, your name is literally right there on that. I can see this because I was tagged in it. You know, you don't know me and I don't know you. So why would you say something like that?
I mean, at least we can't stop you, but I mean, come on, nothing positive comes from stuff like that. And
it was so funny, the number of people that did jump to my defense. They're like, she made every one of those costumes. She looks amazing. You're not out there wearing that costume. What would you know? You know, like the people that jump to your defense mean so much.
Yeah. So you bring that up, and it reminds me of like basically the moment in cosplay where my perspective really changed was again Gen Con. It was 2019. I had my original Beast from Beauty and the Beast outfit,
which is fantastic. Y'all are going to get to see it if you haven't seen it in our little promo picture.
That's actually I think the picture I sent you is the updated version.
But either way, you look amazing.
Yeah, thank you. And at the time, I just joined a charity group, Summit City Cosplayers, And admittedly, I think I joined for the wrong reasons. Looking back on it, because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be the Beast, and we're gonna do Beating the Beast. We're gonna steal the show. People are gonna love us, and not
We
like,
all have that little
yeah.
niggling thought in the back of our head.
And I think I was doing it more for me. Looking back on it, I was like, I think I was doing it more for me than for the people at the events I was going to. But I was still learning, like
Right.
how to deal with people, how to react, and all that. And we go to Gen Con, and unfortunately, we had problems with my wife's dress at the time, which was a different dress than the picture I sent you. But I was like, well, I still have all the Beast stuff. If you're okay with it, I want to go ahead and walk around as the Beast. And my wife, Ashley, she's like, yeah, I'll just be your handler. I'm like, I'll probably need it. And
Definitely.
yeah, now we know. So we get there, and, we take 2 steps in. I'm getting stopped all over the place. I'm talking with some friends that we met up with. And while we're talking, this mom comes up saying, excuse me, my 2-year-old, she loves Beauty and the Beast. Can we get a picture? And I'm like, everybody, I'm like, of course, no problems. And so she brings up her daughter, who's dressed as Anna from Frozen at the time. And so I put the hood on, and I'm interacting with her like she's from one of the events, not kind of realizing it. And after it's over, the mother's like, oh, thank you. We're at a hotel connected to the convention. Are you going to be around? Because we have a Belle dress, and we'd like to see you again. And I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, I'm going to be here, doing pictures, and then I'm going to be in the parade. After that, I don't know. She's like, oh, we'll try to find you for sure. And I'm like, yeah, it shouldn't be too hard to find. Joking. Um, the So the parade happens, and I'll never forget, one of the attendants must have been on like a power trip or something, because he kept going like up and down the line saying, do not get out of line to take
Wow.
pictures or interact with people. We need to keep the lines going. We're all like, dude, calm down.
You're like, it's not that serious.
Yeah, it's a parade, not a competition. We're good.
Like, we're a bunch of adults playing dress up, walking down.
Right.
It's not that big a deal.
And the parade starts up, and by coincidence, two of my friends who were part of my group, one of them who was dressed as Belle in her blue dress, her and her friend, she was walking with me. So I was like, oh, thank goodness somebody can guide me, because my wife was in the crowd just taking pictures of the parade for me. But as we're walking down the way, I see that girl in her Belle dress. And I'm like, you know what? I don't care what that guy said. Screw it. I'm gonna go over and do something. What are they gonna do? Slap me on the wrist?
Tell you get out of the parade.
Yeah. Oh no. So I go up to her, and again, I didn't at the time. I really wasn't thinking about it. It was just me being me. And I interact with her a little bit, and I try to dance with her a little bit because it's gold dress Belle. And I hear all these ahs, and I'm just like, what am I? Is it that cute? And the parade ends, and then we get home like 2 days later. We're on a Facebook page, and somebody had posted, the father of the 2-year-old posted a picture on one of the Facebook pages for Gen Con saying, does anybody know the name of the Beast? Because he did this before the parade, he did this after the parade, and he was such a good guy
Aw.
that we wanted to make sure he knew what an impact he made. And I'm sitting at home. We're sitting at home. We're like, Ashley, you need to see this. What? Apparently, I'm popular now. And the page just exploded with people are like, yeah, we saw the beat. His name's Mark. We saw the beats. He was such a nice guy. He was so great with the kids. Everybody came up with, he was so personable. And then it really hit me. I was like, okay, I've definitely been doing this for the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
You know,
we all like I say, cosplayers, we're lying if we say we don't like the attention and we don't want our picture taken at some
Exactly.
point. But you eventually get that wake up call and realize so much more you can do with it.
Oh yeah, and I like to think, people in my group might disagree, but I don't know. But I like to feel since that happened, well, at least after COVID happened.
Yeah, COVID is the
Yeah.
thing. We always joke that we start telling a story and then COVID happened.
Exactly. Yep. But once we started doing events again, I at least up here in my head, I feel like I've changed with how I handle the situations and how I interact around not only my friends but the people in front of us. And it's like, if they don't want pictures, don't get it's like, don't get upset. If they're happy, you're happy. If they want, if every event they want the beast there, guess what? You're going to be the beast,
Yeah. And you can't take it personally, especially at events with kids, because kids are kids. They're literally all over the place.
My favorite thing being part of the charity group I'm with, and if they're watching right now, they're probably already laughing because they know what I'm going to mention. I don't know how, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, we will keep track of how many times people come up to me and go, "Oh, look, it's the Lion King."
Because Simba totally wore a nice blue suit,
right? And we're like, kids. I'm like, okay, that gets a pass, but I've had so many adults be like, "Oh, it's the Lion King." What world did you grow up in thinking this is the Lion King?
Oh, that's great. That is hilarious. I love it. Oh my goodness. Well, we've already hit halfway point just about of this show. We've already talked for almost 30 minutes. So you've seen our cosplay catwalk? Have you seen us show off the costumes?
This is all new to me.
Okay. Probably should have prepped you for it. If you want to get up, show off your costume, or if you would like to put your helmet closer to the camera. I am not Kelly. Kelly usually sings our I'm Too Sexy, but I can go first if you would like me to get up and show mine off. If you cannot, you just show us what you can.
Okay.
All right. So I wish I had a recording of Kelly singing I'm Too Sexy because it's great, but y'all are going to get to see me first. So I'm going to got my boots. I wore shoes today, guys. I usually am sitting in this room barefoot. So, sorry, Kelly. We'll sing next time you're here because I'm not a singer in front of people, even though, Kelly says she's not either, but she likes to do it.
I'll sing, but Right Said Fred is not one of.
It started as a joke, and it became I'm Too Sexy for my cosplay. So, like I said, we have, you can always buy a mug or a bag with our I'm Too Sexy for my cosplay slogan on it.
Well, when this is all over.
So, show us whatever you would like to, Mark.
So, pretty much, unfortunately, I'm wearing blue jeans right now.
That's a kind of Star-Lord thing to do, I think.
Yeah. I have some other pants that are like black and red, but nothing nothing like, oh, let me go grab them for you. But so, got my jacket and got the shirt.
Of course.
And able to find it in my size. And if you're on a budget, so good old Star-Lord helmet like this, if I remember right, was only about $30 off of Amazon.
Very nice.
The catch is it's not. Oh, there we go. It's not like a full helmet.
That's okay.
But as I've learned, people only care about like what's in front.
That's the thing. You can put so much work into the back of your costume and nobody's looking at the back.
Right.
Except for sometimes the creeps and the weirdos at the con.
Right.
I've encountered a few of those. It's fun being a woman.
Some other stuff I have for the cosplay.
Nice.
I got one of these done. And even though it's technically just made out of like a hard, I do have the Walkman.
Awesome.
It does not work, but I even have, for all of you 80s kids out there, I have a Poison cassette in there.
I am an 80s kid, so yes, I appreciate the
Born in
actual
81.
cassette. I was born in 83, so
there we go. Yeah, I dropped it one day at an event, and this part popped off, but I got to reglue it. But there's that.
like I've listened to many a cassette on a real Walkman, so
Right. Kids there are like, what the?
yeah.
Kids there are like, what the hell's a Walkman?
Though I did okay, as much as I wasn't a huge fan of the second one, I love when he handed him the Zune at the end. Because I was that person that did not have an iPod. I had a Zune, and I loved my Zune. So that was one part of that movie I actually thought was great.
One of my friends had a Zune, and I remember looking at it, and I wasn't as street educated, I guess, at the time. I'm like, what the hell is that? Is not an iPod. What the hell is that? He's like, oh, that's a Zune. I'm like, what? That's some I was like, that's some Chinese knockoff brand I'm not aware of. He's like, you're an idiot.
And I love it because, see, I have a brother who actually works for Apple, and people give me so much crap because I have a Samsung phone. I had a Zune. Like, they just give me so much mess for it. But I'm like, I like my Android stuff.
Right? And,
what can I say?
And my last little thing for this, if the cord was longer, I'd actually be using these right now. But the cord's too short compared to where my computer is. But I do carry the headphones around too. So.
Fantastic. That is great. Hey, we have a lovely comment from one of our other friends, Ryan. He says, hello there. How are you?
Doing good. Nice to meet you.
Welcome, Ryan. You got here just in time to get to see all of Mark's pictures that he gets to talk to us about. So we're just going to go through them, and you can kind of give us a little rundown of them. Tell us what you want about them real quick. But first, we got a question Ryan has for you. It says, happy Star Wars Day. Favorite Star Wars movie, show, book, and character. He went real deep there.
Okay. Movie, Return of the Jedi. Show, Mandalorian. Book, probably Tales from Jabba's Palace. And character, everybody's going to hate me, but my favorite character is Moff Gideon from Mandalorian.
He's so bad, he's good. And it's Giancarlo Esposito. Okay. Yeah. That guy. Oh. Like, and,
he did it so.
He plays a flawless villain. Such a flawless villain.
Well, I loved it so much. And again, I think it's going to be in the pictures coming up here.
Yes, we do.
Loved it so much. I came into like a small little inheritance about 2 years ago. And I was like, well, I can treat myself. I'm getting a Moff Gideon cosplay.
And I agree with you. The show, The Mandalorian, is so good. So good. And thank you, everybody. Like almost everybody, Empire Strikes Back is their favorite. Return of the Jedi is my favorite. I am also exactly the same age as Return of the Jedi. So it's celebrating its 40th anniversary. I turned 40 a few months ago. It's a thing, you know? It ended the original trilogy that created an entire generation of nerds. So
sadly, growing up, I was brainwashed more into Star Trek than Star Wars.
We grew up on both, but my brothers and I were very much the Star Wars fans. Now, my sister actually is watching. She said Happy Star Wars Day a day late. She's just getting into it with her youngest son, but it's not May the 4th anymore, but it is Revenge of the 5th, remember? And as he said, it is just, it's May now. It is May the 4th, the whole month. The whole month. So let's, with all of that Star Wars love, get into these pictures. And so you can talk about them with us.
Well, like we just mentioned, my Moff Gideon. I was lucky enough to get a little bit some, it wasn't anything major, but I was able to get enough to where I was like, I can treat myself. And I, like the second he was on screen, I was like,
I need it.
I fell in love with this character. And I was like, if I'm going to do Star Wars, I don't want to be an admiral or a stormtrooper. I'm like, I am going to the top.
There's been plenty of Vaders and stormtroopers.
Yeah.
I literally
running around.
I saw the thumbnail of this, and I saw the Darksaber, and I was like, this is Moff Gideon. I knew like the second I saw the Darksaber in the thumbnail. I love it. Like Star Wars all day. Let's see. Next up, also appropriate for today, as the release of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
The funny thing about that picture is that was just at like a small little convention here in Fort Wayne. But this pinball arcade right on the outskirts of town, they brought in a bunch of machines, and whenever they saw somebody from one of the machines, they were like, "Hey, can we get a picture of you playing this game?" And apparently I was like one of only 2 people dressed as Guardians of the Galaxy that whole convention, like, we need you to play this. We need you to play this. I'm like, yeah, that'd be pretty funny, kind of meta,
Yeah, very. I love that. Like, I like little inside things like that. So it makes cosplaying even more fun.
Right.
All right, here we go.
Oh, that is a personal favorite of mine. Bane is since like I was introduced to him in Batman the Animated Series back in the 90s, Bane that
was such a good show.
Been my favorite. My wife got me the Bane mask like 2 years ago as a birthday gift. Didn't see it coming, and I'm like, this is a sign. I need to get off my butt. I'm making Bane.
That's true love to get a gift like that. Let's see. Next up. Where did it go back? Show. There it goes.
One. So I always tell people I'm a second generation Disney nerd.
Yeah.
My mom in particular, she was a huge Disney fanatic. No joke. She passed away in 2017. One of the last things she told me was, I go up to her, I'm like, I just want to make sure there's no problems with us, and she goes, Mark, I just want to let you know, I'm so glad I at least got one of my 3 sons brainwashed into loving Disney with me. And I'm like, thank you.
As someone whose dad is the reason we got into a lot of the nerdy stuff and he passed away several years ago, I get that. Get that for sure.
Tron Legacy, probably going to be stepping on some toes here, but for me, excuse me, Tron Legacy is my personal favorite Disney movie. We just went to Disney about a year ago, and my one goal was to ride the Tron roller coaster. We thought would be ready when we went, but I have Tron Mickey ears, multiple Tron shirts. If I move the camera around, I got some figures hanging up, and I stumbled across that jumpsuit on eBay, and I'm like, 2X. It says it's 2X. I wonder if it'll fit. And that was back when I was about 290.
Mm-hmm.
But it fits. And I'm like, I don't care if people know what I'm doing or not. I'm doing Tron. I'm like, if you ever see me at a convention or an event and I'm wearing that, it is like me. It's probably, aside from Beauty and the Beast, that's probably my second favorite cosplay out of all the pictures you're going to see, believe it or not.
But that's great. It's got a story behind it. It's not just I wanted to be this character. And that always feels nice to have a little something special behind it.
And that this one little side note, the disc, the identity disc I'm holding in my hand, that is a I don't want to say how much, but it was from the original, like when Tron Legacy first came out in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the harder to find toys that I found on eBay. And again, if somebody really wants to look it up, I'm not going to stop them. But I had enough of a dedication. I'm like, well, my wife's probably going to hate me for a little bit, but I need to get this.
You're like, honey, just don't look at the bank statement this month.
And she saw how much I spent, and she's like, it's a good thing I know. It's a good thing I know how much you love Tron. Otherwise, I'd be very mad right now. And I'm just like, I love you, I love you, I love you. Don't hate me.
That's once again true love. She knows how much it meant to you, and she's like, you know what? You spent the money, but it's something you truly, truly wanted.
Right.
All right, let's go to our next one.
Oh, yes. Harry Potter. So I always give her a hard time. I always like to be the opposite of her. So she's Gryffindor. I gotta be Slytherin. She's Jedi. I'm Sith. And
I feel you like the bad guys a little bit here.
Hey, bad guys are the most fun.
Of
They
course.
can do whatever they want. And she, as I always tell Ashley, she's such a goody little two shoes. But long story short, she introduced me to Harry Potter, and I was like, we did a trip to Universal back in 2012, where through my spectacular speaking skills and knowledge of the movies I had only seen once, it was determined that I was a Slytherin. I'm like, well, I'm rolling with this now. I always tell people, I was like, I didn't need no sorting hat to figure out what house I'm in. The Slytherins found me.
That is great. All right, let's see what else we have in our bag of tricks here.
So I'm glad this one is first, because I think I sent you a picture of Kingpin later.
Yes.
Or I think there's a picture of Kingpin coming up later. But so this is us as she is Princess Luna, and I am Princess Celestia from My Little Pony. I believe it's the 4th generation. And if I got that wrong, Ashley, I'm sorry. Don't hit me. But if anybody who watches the show, Luna is her favorite character. And I'm like, we got lucky one day. We were just doing some clothes shopping, and we found that gown. We found that gown for her at a Burlington on sale.
Oh, that's great.
Like, we saw it, and we're both immediately like, "What size is that? Take it." We're like, "Yeah, we're getting this for you." And it's like, well, logically, if you're, by this point, my stigma about cosplaying as like ponies or girls and all that was long gone. Yeah. And I was like, well, if you're doing Luna, I've got to be Celestia.
Yes.
And so I started, and anybody who watches the show, Luna is like this very reserved, in the background type character, doesn't really speak a whole lot, and like that way, like my wife, and Celestia is the people person, the talker, and I'm like, this is like us just a little bit too well. Like, if we were to list characters we resemble the most, Celestia and Luna would probably be number one on that list.
That's great.
Yeah.
Let's see. So speaking of, here is the Kingpin.
So, for those of you watching who are on a budget, does that jacket and pants look familiar?
Multi-purpose them.
Yes.
Love that.
And Kingpin, the funny story behind Kingpin was, so the Celestia costume came first. And I got the jacket. And on my Facebook page, I'm always just having fun with my friends, being like, hey, I got a new cosplay. Anybody want to guess what it is? And all I showed was just me wearing the jacket, which was for Celestia, which, thinking about it now, the jacket wasn't in the previous picture, but I digress. But originally I wear the jacket, but I just showed a picture of me wearing the jacket. Everybody and their brother was like, oh, you're doing Kingpin from Spider-Man. And I'm just like, well, I kind of get it, why they're saying that. And then I started thinking, I'm like, well, I like the character. It wouldn't be that hard to do. So
you're like, I guess I'm doing Kingpin.
Yep. And believe it or not, the hardest part of that whole costume, I'm not making this up, is me trying to get my head as close to bald as possible. It's the same problem. It's the same problem I had with Bane. For whatever reason, I am cursed to never be totally bald. We've tried almost everything. We can get it down real close, but it's never, like, if you look real close, you can see like just that little bit of like gray from the hair is kind of stemming, and just and there's probably a bunch of bald people just being like, yeah, right,
like,
whatever.
Shut up. Okay, this one, this next one I loved, because I love Gravity Falls. So when you sent this picture, this made me very happy.
Yes, Mabel Pine. That is that's another personal favorite of mine.
She's so fun.
Oh my god, she is like the best character ever. And it kind of, and again, by the time this one happened, I was like, my wife Ashley, she made the suggestion, what if we did Gravity Falls? And I'm already past that point of like, I don't care if it's a 12-year-old girl. It's like,
let's do it.
Okay, well, if you're doing Dipper, I'm totally doing Mabel. And again, personality-wise, it's like I'm the outgoing one, I'm the goofy one. She's, she's the quiet recluse, kind of like the quiet recluse character. And I'm just like, we are so doing this, And it was that day I learned that apparently, if I remember right, I am a size 18 skirt.
I love it. That is the greatest.
And so the fun things about this, the Mabel and the rainbow, she actually made all that, or the rainbow stuff she made with felt and a hot glue gun, and she glued the Mabel on there.
Which we all know that's how Mabel had to have made that shirt in the show.
Yeah.
She had to have made that shirt for herself.
All the hot glue. And if you look real closely, you'll see a bunch of buttons that at the time they all lit up, like they all flashed. And around the word Mabel, you'll see a bunch of Christmas lights that were battery controlled. And in one of the wrists, I had the switch, so I could just kind of like slide my hand up, flip the switch whenever I wanted at the conventions, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, isn't that a problem?" And I'm just like, "No, it's a fun hazard." And like, of course, he's quoting the show.
I love that. Oh, we got a couple more of yours and then our viewer submissions.
Oh, Cruella and Maleficent. So Maleficent is her favorite Disney villain.
Well, she's fantastic.
Oh yeah, she's okay, I guess. I always love giving, even when she's not next to me, I give my wife such a hard time. But I always liked Cruella. But it wasn't until the Cruella movie that came out like 2 or 3 years ago that is easily, in my opinion, like the best live action remake. It's got one of my favorite actresses, Emma Stone, as a great villain. She did such a great job. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do Cruella, if I'm doing a villain I really love, you need to do a villain you really love. And I kind of talked her into a corner at that point, and she's like, yeah, I guess I need to do Maleficent now. And I'm like, well, damn straight you're doing Maleficent now.
Well, if I'm ever up your way, I do Aurora, so she'll have to bring Maleficent out, and we can do Maleficent and Aurora together.
You let me know. We'll make this happen. Seriously, we'll make this happen.
I'm in the process of starting to work on a new Aurora because mine is a little old and she's time for new ones. So,
right.
Oh, and everybody that watches the show, Hermes says hello. He's visiting. Let's see. We have one more of yours, and of course, I had to save this for last.
Oh yeah.
There we are.
So actually, that is my original. I get to talk about this. So her gold gown, she got not last Christmas, 2 Christmases ago, and again, for all the plus size people out there, that if you just go on Amazon and type in quinceañera dress, you can find so many different types, so many different colors and styles. And that one in particular, I think I saw go up to size, it was either 28 or 30.
That's a good size range. Actual range.
Yeah. And every time she's put that on, it's been no question. Everybody's like, that's Belle.
Yes.
No confusions. I know we're getting close to time here.
Oh no, we can keep going because we're gonna
okay.
show off our guest stuff. We can go over if we're having a good time. We have no problems going over a few minutes.
Well, okay. And so my suit that was custom made for me for our wedding in 2014 because we had a Beauty and the Beast themed wedding.
Because you have to.
Of course. Our first song, was Beauty and the Beast. The person who made our cake, it was a beautiful, 4-layer white cake with roses all down the side. And, a friend of mine is like, we'll make she does more Renaissance stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I went up to her saying, hey, what can you do to make me like the Beast suit? And she looked up and she's like, oh, this will be easy.
She's like,
yeah. And I go up to her, I was like, okay, so what do I owe you? And she's like, no, this is my wedding gift to you. I'm like, what?
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I literally wore it out because after the wedding, I was like, well, got to get the glove, got to get the Beast gloves, got to get the hood, get the feet,
and became the full Beast. You were the prince for the wedding, but you had to be the Beast afterwards.
Yep. And I still have it. It needs some repair, but if you see any more, if people go on my Facebook page and they see some of the more recent pictures, it'll be of the new suit, which I got last year. I got last Christmas, and I totally did not see it coming because about a year ago, it was actually on my birthday, I got checked into a hospital because I got gout in my foot. I left my job for reasons. And I went for about a month, I went into depression and I gained weight, and I haven't checked myself recently, but I know I was at around 335 pounds. And at the time I was like, oh man, I could barely fit into this. I could barely fit into Cruella. The Beast suit, I tried wearing it for an event and a button popped off because it was clinging to me too much. And I was like, oh man, am I going to have to quit cosplaying for a while, until I'm at least back down to 300. And it really hit me hard. And then, my wife, she kept me going, and I know she's probably crying right now.
Aww.
Sorry, Ash. No, but then for Christmas, she got me the Beast stuff, and she says, I found this in a 6X for you, so you could keep doing what you're doing.
That's so sweet. Oh my goodness.
I'm not trying to sound like a macho man, but it takes a lot for me to get teary-eyed emotional. She got to see me cry that day because she helped me. Knew. Yeah. She helped me keep going, doing what I love to do around people.
I don't think people realize how much cosplay can be a therapy for people.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's pulled me out of several depressive funks, so I totally get that. And she knew that was something that could help you, so that's just amazing that she kept you going that way.
If she didn't do that, I honestly don't know where I'd be right now, and I might not be talking to you, and hopefully
I'm glad she did. We've made a new friend because of this.
Right?
And I love it. So let's real quick go through our viewer submissions. So this, I'm having to like look at it in a little bit smaller screen. This is Cheshire-S. She does. She submits
I
our
love that
show.
bell outfit.
Actually, she with a full Disney group recently won a Judge's Choice Award at a convention I was judging at. So they had Gaston. Their Gaston was a woman with the full fake chest plate and everything, and it was amazing. It was great. She does amazing costumes and very prolific cosplayer.
Like is that another Fluttershy in the very top there with the bowling ball?
I believe so. I know it is a My Little Pony.
Yeah, I see pink, or I see the yellow.
Yeah, I'm trying to see it a little bit on my screen because I'm looking at a little tiny screen right now. But
Same
yes.
here. Okay, that's a Jigglypuff.
Yes, she
does
Cheshire. So many. So let's see. Our next one. This is a friend of hers. This is Cassie, and she's also very prolific. They have a little group up in Dyersburg, Tennessee, and
cool.
They do.
I like that. I like the Misty cosplay.
Yes, they do. They do like little cosplay bowling meetups and movie meetups. So they get a lot of pictures together, and all of them are just absolutely amazing people. This next one. This is Catherine Eskew. In one of the top sections, there's a Mad Hatter costume. I got to judge that costume at a recent convention. Fantastic. She came away with an award for that one.
Nice.
Yes.
That's what I need to learn to do next is face. Like I see a lot of like stuff with makeup and face paints. Like I see a clown. Yeah. And that's what I need to learn to do next because like I'm working on an Incredible Hulk cosplay right now. So
let's see. Our next up, I love the name Espresso Creatively. So, like, all of these were submitted from different places online, friends we know, different groups that cosplay groups were a part of. So, I don't know all of these people, which is really cool. I'm glad to see people submitting that don't even know us. You know, we get a lot of friends that submit, but it's really cool to see other people, especially embracing the fact that we're discussing plus size cosplay today.
I love it. I mean, I'm loving all of it.
Let's see this next one. His name makes me laugh. It's Juan Wick instead of John Wick. I love it. It's Juan Wick, but he is a local Memphis cosplayer. We actually have a lot of mutual friends. I've never met him, but he does this as something to bond with his daughter. So I love the father-daughter pictures. I think that's just really great to see parents enjoying it with their kids.
So that's from, and correct me if I'm wrong, because that's from Demon Slayer, correct?
Yes. Yes, it is. I don't know it. I've made costume commissions for people from it. I've judged the costumes. I don't know the characters' names.
My wife watched my knowledge of anime, like my knowledge of anime is about like that much. My wife's is like this much.
Mine, anything after about 2012, I don't know. Anything before then, I got you.
For me, it's been real hit or miss. Like, we're just now starting to watch that time I got reincarnated as a slime monster, and so
I'm behind. I don't have time to sit and watch anime like I used to. I gotta be an adult.
If you can, watch Assassination Classroom. Favorite anime ever.
I know a lot of people that love that one.
Oh my god, but yeah.
All right, this next one. This is a former guest of the show, Quartz
Kitty.
Girl. I love her before and after because she is very proudly a plus size cosplayer. She's beautiful inside and out. I absolutely adore her. We're very good friends, and she's been working on getting healthier. Most people think getting healthy means getting thin. She's just making her body healthier, and she had these before and after are like 2 years apart. And the one on the right was from last weekend at a volunteer event we did for raising child abuse awareness.
Very nice. Congratulations.
beautiful inside and out. And I adore Sierra with all my heart and soul, and I will go to bat for her any day of the week. This next one is actually the creator of my volunteer group, Bluest Bunny. This is Lindsay. I love. She had so many. I had to narrow down which ones to show. I've known Lindsay for. Sorry, my fan underneath me is blowing my wig in my face.
You're all good.
But I've known Lindsay for probably 15 years now, and another absolutely beautiful on the inside and out. Like everything she does is amazing.
I love those outfits. We eventually want to get a kimono for
they're so beautiful.
For Ashley, because she wants to do like a Japanese version of Princess Luna. Because we have a Japanese themed event every May called Cherry Blossom Festival.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have one here at our Botanic Gardens.
And I guess I can say it now. One of my friends is helping me 3D print some stuff. But anybody in the Fort Wayne area, if you go to the Cherry Blossom Festival, I will be there as Himikyo Toga in full gear, like assuming it gets here on time, like the mask, everything. I probably won't be there until about maybe 3 or 4 o'clock because I have a previous engagement. But if you see a big toga running around, don't be afraid to come up and say, "Hey, I recognize you from that show."
And our last submission, this is Miss Stephanie Nicole Warlick. We met through the volunteer page during COVID, the Operation Birthday Rescue, where cosplayers were making videos for kids whose parties were canceled due to COVID. And she's the one that I was saying told me how, hard it is for her to find costumes. And her Little Red Riding Hood costume, she told me, and this upsets me like deeply and breaks my heart, that she said when she bought it, the person told her she shouldn't buy it because it was not going to look good on her because she was plus sized.
Are you kidding me?
And I think she is precious in that costume.
Yeah. I would have went full Karen on that person.
How you can tell someone, first off, that is spending their money. Yeah. But how do you have the actual lack of empathy to say that to someone's face? Someone who is putting themselves out there that much and doing something that they love. That, if I want to know who this person was, and just it makes me so angry and breaks my heart, because you have somebody who is doing something kind with their craft and having fun, and you just tell them it's not going to look good on you. You shouldn't buy it. Horrible. That is exactly the polar opposite of.
I'm about ready to head down to Tennessee and find this person myself.
This is literally why we do this show, is because we truly believe that everyone can cosplay and has the right to. You should never tell someone that they can't.
It's one of the reasons why up here I'm always trying to tell people, it's like, if a 6'3", 330-pound 42-year-old can dress up as a 12-year-old girl that loves sparkles and rainbows, and still get complimented, it's like, you guys can do whatever you want,
It's wild how much other people try to bring your joy down.
I know this is a very hokey or kind of cliche thing, but when that does happen, I'm like, how sad is your life?
Exactly.
I feel more sorry for you that you feel you need to revert to that, 6-year-old bully mentality when you're a full-grown adult.
I go whenever I do our volunteer events, because everybody that watches the show knows I work at Target. I go in after an event in full costume, be it a princess, a superhero, a Star Wars character. I'm walking around in, giant princess ball gowns, and some people are just over there like, oh my God, that's the coolest thing ever. And other people are like, what is she doing? And all of my coworkers are like, well, they're just miserable. You know, I'm over here, and they like to look and try to like laugh at me behind my back. And I'm like, if I was embarrassed by this, do you think I would have stepped foot in here dressed like this? You're not embarrassing me by taking pictures behind my back or video. If you would have asked, I would have taken a picture with you.
Right.
You know? I'm like, I'm not embarrassed by this. I'm 40 years old. I used to be so embarrassed by things and I'm like, you know what? I'm 40 years old. I'm an adult. I can do what I want. Who cares what that stranger I'm never going to see again thinks?
Exactly. I mean, it's like with this Cherry Blossom Festival coming up. It's like, yeah, I'm a grown adult who cares if I'm dressing up as a character from an anime that's,
Yeah.
oh, well, you're a guy, you shouldn't be doing that. Show me in the rule books where it says I can't, you know?
It doesn't. And it's so ridiculous how hurtful people can be about it. But that's why you find your tribe. You find the
Right.
people that have your back. So with that, I'm going to give you the full screen, and I'm going to let you give us your words about cosplay. Like, what is your thing to tell somebody who's trying to get into cosplay for the first time? That needs to be.
No, don't put me on the spot. If you're trying to get into cosplay, basic things. Pick a character you like. You know, you don't have to have it all done at the same time. You can do it piece by piece. If you know the event you want to do it for, you know, budget your money to where you can buy pieces at a time. Don't let anybody put you down, get to you. You know, if you are dressed as Belle and you're wearing tennis shoes, you go ahead and be Belle wearing tennis shoes. I will still come up to you and ask for your picture and say you are awesome, you know. And it doesn't matter your size, it doesn't matter your gender, it doesn't matter your race. You know, you just like the pictures you saw. You know, I cosplayed as an African American character, and people just loved the fact it was like, dude, I love Moff Gideon. He was awesome. I love what you're doing. You know, you be you. And again, this will be cliche, but don't ever let the haters get to you, because the second they do, they win, you lose. And I'd rather hang around with you than those elitists and those people who think they are better than them. And trust me, you'll have a whole lot more fun with us than you would with them.
That is absolutely amazing advice. The haters thing, don't, I like the saying, let your haters be your motivators.
Oh, there you go. I'm going to remember that one.
You know what? Because if they hate on you, use that. Take that little bit of anger and rub it in their face. So, before we go, can tell us where people can find you online?
I just have, I guess after this, I'm probably going to have to start an Instagram account. I will probably tomorrow morning, I'll try to, if they're not public, I will try to make all my pictures public on my regular Facebook page, which is Mark Dejarnett. You'll know it's me because you'll see Beauty and the Beast on my profile picture. And drop me a friend request. I mean, just say, hey, if it asks you to leave a message, say, hey, I saw you on the show. I like what you're doing. And I'll be like, hell yeah, new friend. Yeah.
We love making friends. Right. And since I don't have my fellow co-hosts here, there's a link tree to our Cosplay Cafe podcast. It's got links to my Instagram, the Phoenix Sisters, Kelly's books, Crayleigh's Pokeballs. Everything is right there. So you can type that in or look for Cosplay Cafe podcast on Linktree. And with that, we are going to give you our Why Cosplay ad, and we're going to say goodnight, everybody. So thank you for tuning in and sticking around a little later. Thank you, Mark, so much. This was great. I got to do this alone. Y'all watched me fly solo, and we had a good time.
I had a blast. Hopefully we can do it again sometime in the near future.
Definitely. And since you're in Crayley's neck of the woods, we'll have to come that way and all meet up sometime.
Give me the notice. I'll be more than happy to try to get this to happen.
All right. So we're going to roll this little ad, and good night, everybody.
Cosplay Cafe is sponsored by whycosplay.com, which is your one-stop shop for quality costumes and cosplay supplies. So click on the link in our show notes to get a 20% off discount. Or not, if you hate saving money. I don't know you. I don't know your life. Clicking on the link does help support our show. So, you know what? Just do the thing. Do the thing.